Hello everyone, welcome to Off the Water. Today we're talking about the Jetty slip cork rig. This is my third and final revision. It's actually been working flawlessly for me out there on the water, and I want to go over it, show you how it is that I'm rigging it up. Let's quickly go over the setup that we're using. This is a Shimano Vanford 3000 spinning reel. It's spooled with 10-pound braid from Power Pro, and the rod is a medium power Old 18 Outfitters Arius, so very capable. And the leader line that we're using is 30-pound mono from Suffolk. It's been perfect, and the only thing that I've had was getting broke off against the rocks from a massive fish that was peeling drag. So what I've done is purchased another spool. This is going to be what I'm going to try the next time, 40-pound, and then in the event that that gets broken off, we've also got some 60-pound. 30-pound definitely works, and just for the sake of showing y'all the rig and retying it, this is what we're going to use. We'll start things out by connecting the main line to the leader line. What we're doing is wrapping this braid around my pinky so that I can get it under tension right there, and that is nice and good. We take our leader line now. This rubber band is going to help to prevent the line from continuously unraveling off of that spool, and it keeps it under tension as well. So with both of these lines under tension, we're going to take and pinch where they both meet right there, let our tag end go, and we will start wrapping around once on the top, and then we'll go around the bottom. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. We're making sure that all these coils are nice and tight and they're packed against each other. 6, we'll do this 20 times. 18, 19, and then 20 right there. And then check that out. That is as tight as you can possibly get that right there. Now we're gonna take and make 2 half hitches to lock all our coils in place. There goes 1. Note that I'm taking special care to keep all these coils nice and tight. Right there. That's 1. That's 2. And then from this point, you can kind of let that go because those coils are locked. What we do is take the main line right here, you grasp it, make sure that you got some gloves or something or another on so that you don't slice your fingers. And then you take the other end, okay, come on, get in focus. You take the other end right here on the mono, and you're basically just pulling them. And what we're wanting to do is seat these coils nice and tight against each other. So here we go, nice hard pull, and those coils are now starting to bite into that monofilament, and there it is. Now what we'll do is just finish it off by making 2 more half hitches on just the actual main line. So you're not going to go around the leader line anymore, it's just that main line. So that's 1. Seat that down nice and tight, and then we'll go around again. 2. This is just to make sure that everything does not unravel as it's continuously going through your guides. I know I said 2, but here, let's just do 3 for good measure. Right there. At this point, we're just going to cut our tag ends on both of these lines. There we go. Try to get it as close as you possibly can. That's just so that there are no snags whenever you're casting. And just like that, we have our FG knot. At this point, we're just gonna remove the rubber band and we're gonna take off about 14 feet. Let's clip it away from the spool. And we're gonna reel all of this in to kind of have some type of line management. What I'm doing here is just taking some 20-pound braid right here. I'm gonna cut maybe about 12 inches off. This is gonna be my first bobber stop. I could use these right here, but they're way too thick and I do not like how thick the knot is whenever you use these, but we're still gonna use one later on in the process. The braid, actual Power Pro braid, actually works a whole heck of a lot better and it keeps everything slimlined as well. So you take your leader line right there and we're gonna make a uni knot. That is just, you first start off by making a coil and then we'll do 5 wraps around. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you'll take both tag ends of the braid and just pull, cinch that knot down. Cut our tag ends now, just like that. This right here is gonna prevent our little bead right here. Okay, let's see if I can get this into focus. We'll take this little bead and it's super tiny. We gotta thread it through the leader line. There we go. And now what the bead is gonna allow us to do is keep the bobber from actually going past that right there, that bobber stop. This is how we're gonna be able to set our depth. The next thing we throw on there is gonna be our pole float. Without the use of this bead, the pole float right there, that is gonna go straight through that bobber stop. It'll just continue going forward like that on the line. So that's why we need that bead. I'm gonna thread this through right here. And so here goes the system in work. Here basically goes like that. It will not go through. So right there. Next, we're gonna take a glass bead right here. You can use plastic or anything that you have to actually protect the bottom of your float. You can see how it's already cracked right here. That's a weight so that it stays upright whenever it's out there on the water. But what happens is if you don't put this bead, it's gonna look a lot worse than that. It's actually gonna get chewed up. The balsa wood will eventually wear premature. So what we do is put this little glass bead, thread that through, and now, here, let's see. There we go, right there. When the float comes down, it hits this bead, which is a bit more delicate in comparison to the split shot right here. So you take whatever weight that you're gonna need to use out there and you crimp that on. But before we do, we need to take and install this last and final bobber stop right there. In the likely event that we get snagged down there on the rocks, you definitely want to have this on. So you remove the little black plastic piece after you thread it through. Then we take and pull both tag ends to cinch down that knot, just like this right here. Just cinch that down. There we go, it's nice and tight. Trim the tag ends. Now you can install this right here, which is your split shot. With the split shot crimped down, that pretty much locks everything into place now. And what we need to do is the last and final step, and we'll take the tag in, tie our hook on by way of a loop knot. So you just make that loop right there, kind of cinch it down, and to give the fish the best possible chance of surviving after we catch it and we don't gut hook them with live bait, I'm using circle hooks. Take your circle hook, thread your leader line through the eye, go all the way down to where you made this little loop right here on the leader line, right there. Go through that. And then kind of cinch it down towards the eye. You don't want a big old loop that your shrimp can get tangled in. So that usually works for me right there. Pinch it and then wrap it around 1, 2, 3, and 4 times is usually what works for me on this 30-pound mono. Go through that loop again, and then right here you want to, before you cinch it down completely, you want to wet your line so that the heat that's generated whenever you're stressing this knot, like pulling it down, and when it cinches, it's not going to compromise your mono. Just wet it really nice and quick. Pull that tag end until it seats that knot down, then let the tag end go. Grab your leader line. Okay, come on, focus, buddy. You grab your leader line and then cinch the entire thing down, pulling the hook and the leader line in different directions. Be very careful. You probably can use something that's got like a loop right there to hold on to that hook so that you don't got to grab it and take a chance on hooking yourself. But grab that, grab the leader line, and then with a firm, nice, steady tug, you seat that knot down right there. And then that is it. Clip this tag end as close to the knot as possible, right there. And you're ready to go. This is the final product, and I've compacted everything so that you can see the entire setup right there. Essentially what we have is a circle hook on a loop knot, split shot, a bobber stop right there, then a bead, the float, another bead, and a bobber stop. The main reason why I decided to revise this slip cork is because of the leader line. The knot that I was using before was a uni to uni, and the diameter of it was so big that it was like just wrecking my guides on the rod, especially the rod tip. It would pull it off every time I tried to cast it. If I reeled too far in and did a leader line that was in excess of 3 foot, that means the uni knot, the connecting knot for the main line to the leader line, would go through the guides, and it would just completely wreck the spool whenever it gets spooled on. When you make that cast, because that knot was so big, it would backlash, or if it didn't backlash and didn't get seated on the spool, when you make that cast, that uni knot was hitting every guide. Now the one that it would absolutely wreck is the tip. So when it goes through there, it had a tendency to just unseat the glue from the rod tip, and the guide would actually just pop off, and that was a nuisance. So I had to end up doing like a 3 foot at the greatest leader line, and that did not allow for the abrasion resistance that this method allows me to do. And that's all because I shifted towards the FG knot, and being able to tie that, it goes through my guides flawlessly. I'm able to spool it, that knot on the spool, reel it in so that it spools there and it does not backlash whatsoever. So it's very effective. I'm now getting away from a 3 foot leader line with mono to a 14 foot. I have the confidence in knowing that if I do hook a massive fish that loves to peel drag and dive deep whenever they come towards the rocks, I've got 14 line of mono to help and ensure that I get to secure my catch. Now 30 pound, it failed whenever it was under tension. So we've got the 40-pound stuff right here. That's what we'll use once we get away from this. Maybe I'll be a little bit more patient and I'll be able to land it, but nonetheless, 14 feet of monofilament is way better than just the braid being loaded under tension. And if it hits them rocks, that's it. It's an instant like cut of your main line. The next reason why I decided to use this method is because right here, between the bead and the split shot, the old method did not call for a little bobber stop right here. This helps me to ensure that I'm gonna be able to bring back in my float, the bead, all the components that make up this setup, with exception to the hook. If we get snagged in the rocks and we bust off right there, then this bobber stop just makes sure that that's it. It stops all of that from sliding off the line. So just a little bit of thought and extra effort on my part helps me to recoup this. It's worked 100% of the time for the several times that I have been snagged in the rocks, and I was able to just get away with having to retie a circle hook. I'd rather lose that than the entire setup. But the beauty of this setup is that you can fish any depth at a moment's notice versus the old, not the old, but the other methods that are out there. If I wanted to set this at 5 feet, all I got to do is move this bobber stop right there, move it to a 5-foot depth, and then once you cast, the split shape, the split weight is going to sink your shrimp down the water column, and the float, being that it floats, is going to just go all the way up to the bobber stop, and then you're there at 5 feet. If you want to make the setup go deeper, then we just take and we move our bobber stop up the leader line, and then once you cast, it's going to go now to the 12-foot depth that we want to do. And essentially you can fish the entire water column without ever having to retie, and that's the main reason why I use this method right here. So hope you enjoyed this one. If you found it useful, don't forget to click that thumbs up button. Thank you for watching, and I will catch y'all next time when we're off the water.